My name is William Christensen, and I'm the publisher of Avatar Press. We appreciate all the support you guys have shown us over the years, and I'm hoping you've all had a chance to check out and enjoy the new Max Brooks series, Extinction Parade. That's what we're here to talk to you a little bit about today. So without any further ado, it is my incredible honor and pleasure to introduce a great friend of mine and a fantastic entertainer and brilliant writer. Let's hear it for Mr. Max Brooks.
Can you guys all hear me?
Yeah.
All right, thank you all for coming. For starters, before we do anything else, who's read my book, World War Z? All right. Who's seen a movie by the same title? All right. Before we do anything else, let's just deal with the Brad Pitt elephant in the room. For those of you who haven't and don't know who I am and think I'm the guy from 2.5 Men, many years ago, before some of you were born, in 2006, I came out with a book called World War Z, and in my country we called it Z. Yay! At that point, a gentleman named Bradley Pitt, he optioned the movie rights to produce it. He was not going to star in it, he just wanted to produce it, and I said, yes, wonderful, okay. Because I was given a choice. I could say to him, no, I want ultimate creative control or nothing, and then I could have just taken my book and walked away, or I could have taken a risk. And as a very wise man once said, and his name was James T. Kirk, risk is our business. And that's pretty much how I feel as a writer. Whenever you're a creative person, whenever you put your work out there, risk is your business. And so I took the risk. I let Mr. Pitt adapt my book. And 6 years later, a movie came out with the same title. Since that time, I've been asked how I feel. Well, the truth is I felt everything. I went through every kind of emotion. Initially, I thought, all right, it's theirs, let them run with it. I wrote the book, big difference. Then the trailer came out. Now, I get a lot of questions from aspiring writers, sort of what my tips are. You know, what's your tips for being a writer? What's your advice? Well, the best advice I can give anybody here who wants to be a writer or artist in general is marry the right person. Because the life of an artist will destroy you if you don't have someone who has your back. If you don't have someone who loves you and cares about you and knows what's best for you, even if you don't. So after I saw the trailer, my wife said to me, call Frank Darabont. Now, for those of you who don't know who he is, have you heard of a TV show called Walking Dead? Yay! Have you heard of a comic book called Walking Dead? Okay, good. Now, a long time ago, there was this comic book called Walking Dead. And it was, yes, wonderful, hooray. However, it was still a comic book, which meant for people like us, it was still niche, it wasn't mainstream. You know, we as comic book readers, we think we're the majority. We're like the American Tea Party. We're not. We're a fringe. So this gentleman, Frank Darabont, who gave us films like, Shawshank Redemption, said, I'm going to put this on television. Nobody wanted it. Nobody was into it. He said, I will prove to you that I can do it. And he got his writing staff and his cast from all his movies and his crew, and he put it together, and he made an amazing television show. He made a cultural phenomenon. And to reward him, AMC fired him. Wow. Personally, I would have given him a statue on the mall in Washington, D.C. for what he did. Right next to Dr. Martin Luther King. There would have been Dr. King like this, and there would have been Frank. So my wife said, call Frank, because we knew him, we were friends. She said, Frank knows what you're going through. So I wrote to him, I said, Frank, this in the trailer, and Run His Zombie, just, wow, Frank. So he wrote me back, and he said, look, you have your book. Nobody can take that away from you. You have your side of the story. So no matter what happens with the movie, nobody can accuse you of doing it. He said, trust me, it's a hell of a lot better than being a screenwriter where you write the script and then they change it and then everybody thinks that's your movie. He said, your book is pure. But then he did me one better. He wrote to a friend of his who then wrote back to me through Frank and said, please tell your friend Max, number one, I read his book and I liked it. And number two, it doesn't matter what happens with the movie. It will bring attention to his book, and more people will be reading his book than have ever read it before. All the best, Stephen King. So that sort of buoyed me. I was like, okay, all right, I'm ready to go see this thing. So, you know, I went to the premiere, not the one in London. I went to the one in New York. And you know, the big red carpet, and it's everything you would expect from Hollywood, and there's flash bulbs, and then there's the press saying, how do you feel about all this? And then there's Fox News saying, what's the color blue look like? And I went in there, I sat down. Now, I expected to be tearing my hair out for 2 hours. I expected to go through what Stephen King went through when he watched The Shining. You know, there's his characters not saying what they're supposed to say and not doing what they're supposed to do, and oh my God, there's my story and it's not turning out the way I wrote it. And that's what I thought was going to happen. So the credits rolled, the movie started, and I realized, wow, they didn't ruin my book. They ignored it. Which then gave me the blessed ability to completely emotionally divorce myself and just sit there and eat my popcorn and watch this wonderful version of 28 Days Later on crack. So I watched it, it was fine. I didn't mind it. In fact, I respect the fact that it is to this day the most brilliant piece of middle-aged female pornography I have ever seen. And what I mean by that is, forget 50 Shades of getting whipped and chained. If you really want to get a middle-aged married woman hot, her ultimate fantasy is to come downstairs and there's Brad Pitt making pancakes. Hi, honey. Going to your fancy job? I had one of those and I gave it up for you. Wow, that was marketing. The best thing they did, which I couldn't believe, I turned to my wife at one point, I said, did you write this? Because there's a scene where, you know, in the movie, he has to go around the whole world and yet still check in with his wife every day. Married men, you know what I'm talking about. Wow. I mean, he literally is on a plane, he's taking off, and the zombies are below him, and the nuke goes off. Hi, honey, how was your day? That is some good marketing. So I say, good for him. Let him do what he wants to do. Let him do the sequel. I have my book, and everybody happy. So that's how I feel about World War Z, the book, and the movie. So now, moving on. We're here to talk about what's called the Extinction Parade. On the surface, the Extinction Parade is zombies versus vampires. That's not what it's about, though. That's what the story is, that's not what it's about. What it is about is the pitfalls of privilege. What I mean by that is, my philosophy is that our greatest strengths as individuals and also as a species come from compensating for our greatest weaknesses. What I mean is, as I've gotten older, I've realized that the most successful people I've met, I'm 41, I'm going to be 42, and the most successful people I've met in my age group didn't have it easy when they started out. When they were kids, they had to overcome something. Physical disability, financial hardship, something emotional, whatever. They did not have an easy time. They had to learn how to adapt and fight and scratch. And that made them much smarter and stronger and more resilient to change and to adversity. Whereas the people I grew up with who had everything handed to them, once they got to be my age and adversity came knocking, they had no survival skills. And I believe that as a species. I said, wait a minute. We're not supposed to be top of the food chain. We're not. We're here. You know, we spent 9/10 of our evolution going, what the hell was that? But we learned, and we adapted, and we grew stronger and smarter, and we clawed our way up to dominance of the planet. So I started to think, what about another species that had everything handed to them? What if they were spoiled by all these special gifts, speed, strength, agility, ability to heal, immortality? Everybody I know growing up loved vampires. They thought they were sleek and sexy. When I saw them, I would think, get a job. Because to me, they look completely vulnerable. They've never had to confront any problems. And they've never had to overcome them. So I wanted to write a series about what would happen when these vampires who have been resting comfortably and arrogantly at the top of the food chain was suddenly confronted with an existential crisis. Suddenly, oh my God, our one food source is being eaten out from under us. What will we do? What can we do? We have no history of organizing. We have no history of adapting. We have no history of prioritizing. We've never felt fear. We've never had to overcome fear. We've never had to be disciplined. We've never had to do any of the things the weaker species, the humans, have done. Can we do it? And will there be time? That is the premise of the Extinction Parade. We're now at issue number 5, where we've finally taken it up to war. Because in issue number 1, vampires are loving it. Because in my story, vampires have been feeling very hemmed in by human civilization, the rise of civilization. What I mean by that is not just technology. It's the rise of the middle class. The notion that individual citizens can have worth. They're not fans of that. Oh my God, you mean we can kill somebody and the cops will show up? So they've been feeling more and more suffocated. So when the zombies start to eat through civilization, they're loving it. Because they don't know how bad this is. They think it's like the fall of Rome. They think it's a party. And through issue 2, it gets exciting. And then issue 3, we talk about their caretakers, their Renfields. What happens when their Renfields bail on them? Finally, in issue 4, they're confronted with the inconvenient truth. We're not just talking about the end of human civilization, we're talking about the end of humanity. What are we going to do? And in issue 5, they finally realize we have to take a hand in our own destiny. That's the Extinction Parade, and that's where we're up to so far. And I am extremely tired of hearing my own voice, so I would love to open up the floor to questions, see what you guys have to say. So who's going to be the first to overcome their social anxiety disorder? Yes. What do I like about zombies? Nothing. No, because I don't like zombies. You would never catch me at a zombie walk. To me, that's like a syphilis walk. They're disgusting and scary and stupid and